Hello and welcome to tonight's Get in Tune. I'm Michael Gracia, and I got a really exciting guest from tonight. I have been seeing this guy's work for a while through social media. I got a copy of his comic a while back, a digital copy, which I'll definitely put up and we can look at tonight. His work reminds me of so many other artists that I love that have inspired me. So like I've been following what he's been doing, and I just knew it was time to finally have him on and chat with him. So let me introduce Mike W. Belcher, who is the creator of The Man in the Mask, and he's also a letterer, a production designer. He does it all in comics. Let's bring him on. Hello, Mike. How are you?
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing good. Before we get started, let's scroll across the bottom how people can find you. So at Twitter, you're Mike W. Belcher 1, and on Facebook, AMK Comics. So
That is right.
yeah, so everyone, thank you for tuning in. I'm really, like I said in my intro, I'm really excited to chat with you. You draw in a lot of the characters, I guess, for fun, as we were talking backstage.
Oh yeah.
That I love, that I'm impressed with all the time. So before we get into talking about those characters or just your warm-ups or your books, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into comics? Were they a childhood thing for you? And if so, who were some of your favorite characters, writers, artists, that inspired you to come and start creating?
Well, that's the easy thing about it. I don't remember a time comics weren't in my hands.
Yes.
I could say I probably learned to read with them. And, as the years went by, I finally figured out, hey, these guys actually get paid to draw this stuff and have fun writing these stories. And so it kind of turned from being a hardcore fan, which I still am, but I wanted to kind of make it into something that I could do myself. I wanted to come up with my stories. And, people like John Byrne, people like Matt Wagner, I saw their work and it inspired me so much. And I just wanted to create. And like I said, it kind of runs hand in hand. I wanted to, make comics and draw for about as long as I've been wanting to read them. And it just seemed kind of hand in hand with it. And, they inspired my imagination. I think that most people that are into comics, they can't explain the hook that comics just put in somebody, but they've never left me. I've never left the want to do comics. And I've never left the want to read comics. I love it. It's a great art form.
I completely agree. I always say one of the reasons I love comics is because you're just limited to your skill with a pencil and your imagination. So if you can think it and put it on paper, you can go anywhere and tell any story. And I think that's fantastic. It doesn't matter if it's a superhero story, biographical, whatever it is. If you can think it, you can do it. That's
oh yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, it's very low tech. At cons, I have some people ask me, what do I have to do to make a comic? What to draw comics? And it's kind of like, well, get a piece of paper and get a pencil, and there you go. It's very, very low tech.
Yeah. I just want to go to the comments, say hi to Mike Wilkie, who is a cartoonist himself. It says evening Mike, so evening Mike. He's out. I forget. Is it? I think Minnesota. I forget if I'm wrong, Mike. But I've had him on one of my shows, on my Storytelling Saturday shows. Great guy, fast cartoonist. Love what Mike does. So growing up reading, who were some of your favorite characters? What books were you reading?
I gravitated to characters like Superman. I guarantee, the characters that were more lighter. Exactly. Yeah. It just I came along at a lucky time with John Byrne recreating him, and it just stuck. And then everybody that came after him, Jerry Ordway and Dan Jurgens and George Perez. I felt like that character just kind of grabbed a hold of me, and I gravitated toward characters like that. I mean, I like Batman. Don't get me wrong. I like the
Mhm.
darker characters, but I found myself kind of looking towards those type of lighter characters that seem to enjoy what they did. And
Yeah,
as we were talking earlier before the broadcast, like Blue Beetle and the lighter stuff, and
yeah,
it's kind of stayed with me.
that's great. I tend to,
Spider-Man and Captain America, those characters.
yeah, I tend to be the same way. Though I find specifically on DC side, I tend to go towards, even though I love Superman, like I'm Superman, Green Lantern, Nightwing, and Doctor Fate are my top four, but then I go into characters that could be darker, like the Phantom Stranger and the Spectre and things like that, more mysterious. I love those type of guys. I just want to say hi to, that is Ron Fort. Is it Fortier? I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong.
Hey,
Uh,
Ron.
but hello, Ron. So thank you for joining us tonight. Um, so yeah, so you were creating those. And when did you start creating comics?
I just don't know. Like I said, I would do. I was the guy that stapled the little pages together. I would draw
Mhm.
little stories, and I would buy my own little books with staples, and when I would color them with markers or colored pencils or things like that. I was always kind of scribbling and doodling, and I was the kid that was in the back of the classroom when the teacher always caught him scribbling Superman S's and of the like, and so, I always try to figure out storytelling. I always like to
Yeah,
make stories up, and initially, like anybody, I wanted to work for DC. That was
yeah.
something that was a big dream of mine.
Mm.
And so, yeah, I've always told stories along the line of the same time I've been drawing. It's kind of, it kind of, to my imagination, it worked that way.
Yeah. Sorry, my room's a little
Right.
warm and dry in here. Um, so so you've been creating when? So the first comic or the comic that you're most known for is The Man in the Mask, right?
Yeah.
Was that your first comic you published, or did you do anything before that?
I lettered a few comics in the late '90s, but basically, as far as actually publishing artwork and a story, The Man in the Mask was my thing, and it was basically the culmination of me putting off doing comics for a number of years. But
Hmm.
and I started off with a graphic novel. I kind of started out really big. I wanted a big story that, just in case I didn't get an opportunity again to do, I wanted to tell my story.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, Man in the Mask was the first thing I did.
All right, we're going to take a look at that. Let's just go to the comments real quick. Again, I'm sorry if I'm saying this wrong. eStore Tech, hi guys. And Jonathan, hey Mike, hey everyone, what up? Hey Jonathan, thanks for tuning in. We got Mike W. Belcher here, who did The Man in the Mask, and he was just about to give us a pitch before I show the comic. So, can you give us a little pitch about what it's about?
Man in the Mask is the idea of growing up with the knowledge that you're going to be the next in line. And it's the idea that, being a hero doesn't have to involve tragedy. Sometimes, I kind of look at the Golden Age characters, and most of those Golden Age characters were characters that did things out of responsibility, out of duty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I wanted to do, again, that lighter side of comics where, I didn't want some horrible thing to kind of propel. I wanted the idea of service. I wanted the idea. And so the Man in the Mask is the idea of combining that kind of aesthetic of the Golden Age with the
Mm-hmm.
idea of the family business. And
Okay.
then basically, making something your own, growing up under the shadow of something, embracing it, and then eventually making it your own. And out of that, I just wanted a nice, fun adventure story I could tell once I got
Yeah.
past that origin.
So it's kind of interesting. It's like being a legacy character without having a character known or come before that. So I kind of like that.
Exactly.
Let's share the screen here. And so here is, and let me zoom out a bit so people can see it, and I'm on the wrong screen right now. Maybe 75%. Oh, let's go to 100. Okay. So this is your character, and we were talking before the style, and we were talking about some of your influences, and I said I can see like kind of like Bruce Timm or Darwin Cook kind of feel in there. You mentioned Matt Wagner, which looking at that I can see a bit of Wagner in there. So I mean, right off the bat, the style is very appealing to me.
Well, thank you.
And you know what I also like? I like that the costume is very simple. And in the first few pages, there's going to be a panel I'll show, but it's just like to me, it's one of my favorite panels, especially with the way the wording goes with it. And I'll show it in a moment. And I don't know if you know what I'm talking about here, but this is kind of an introduction to the character. And it's right here. It's the first. He talks about making a little inset closet, like hidden wall. And literally, here's his costume. Yeah. He's got a bodysuit underneath, and he chooses a shirt. You know, the mask is up there, and he's got sneakers or whatever. And I'm like, I just love that opening shot so much. I mean, there's so much. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say that whole panel is one of those things you imagine when you're 12 or 13 years old, imagining being about a hero, and you think about, well, I could hide all my gear behind my closet door, and Mom would never find it. And you know, it was kind of that idea, because you know, that's the other thing about Man in the Mask. It's also kind of this, you know, looking at all these cool elements of heroes, and you know, things that I came up with when I was 14 or 15 years old, that I think could still be kind of fun for readers. And like I said, that the idea of doing a little secret closet, you know, it's not Bruce Wayne in the Batcave, but you know, it's doable. People could do something like that.
Yeah. And you're right. It is that imagination of a kid. I mean, I remember pretending, you know, I had stuff like that. You know, move a little book on my bookshelf and a panel opens, or you know, it's just you're absolutely right. And let's see, Eastor Tech says it's a great series. The artwork is a treasure for the eyes and imagination, and I'm not disagreeing.
That's my buddy Kent. He's a good guy. He's my comic shop.
That's great. Always great to have supporters and good friends, especially in the comic shop biz there. But I love like the simplicity to the background. I mean, you're not going crazy putting in every single brick. You kind of got this I also know distance and stuff, but it's just suggestion almost. You know, you're kind of just suggesting here's a building for the most part, you know, and I like that. I like that we don't have to go crazy looking around. What's important, you focus and you show the important stuff and just let the background help it. You know, it's like looking, I don't know how much of a fan you are of like Looney Tune cartoons or know the history of stuff, but there was a layout artist, and I believe his name's Martin Noble or Nobel. I don't know how they pronounce it. And he was the one he was in Chuck Jones's unit, and he was the one who said, our characters are the stars, not the background. Let's simplify our backgrounds and make our characters the star. And that's when we started seeing really interesting backgrounds. And you know, you look at the Roadrunner cartoons and how they get simpler each one. But when they started doing that, their characters popped, and that's what I'm seeing in your work. Your backgrounds aren't taking away from the important stuff we need to see, and I love that. That's a sign of a great artist.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, you know, I don't fault backgrounds, but I try to focus on character, and also the idea that how long is somebody going to be staring at this page? You know, as you go panel to panel, I want to make sure you get the information you need. And, you know, it's also that, it's like you just said, it's that animation aesthetic. It's just what you can do to get the further in the story. And I don't think anybody's going to pay attention to how ornate I do that window way back there in the background.
Yeah, exactly. And I got to say though, this panel right here, I kind of see Matt Murdock a little bit. I think it's the glasses, but it just cracks me up. I'm like, that's fun. But I'm like, I can see that happening. You know what's happening, and I'm not going to go through the whole comic. I just want to show a little bit, get people, you know, just your action scene here. This is what I really wanted to get to, showing the fight. You have a good idea of how the battle should take place. And this panel right here, I just love that positioning, perfect tilt to the shoulder. And, you know, and basically, this is basically the first story. And I just went through it fast because I want people to tune in and read it. And they can find this on Indie Planet, correct?
Correct, yes.
Yes. That's where I got my copy.
Yeah, all my books are on Indie Planet. Barry and Tommy are the great guys. They really do a service to the indie community.
Yeah. This is fantastic. I love this panel. And you're right about the smiling characters. I just love how much he seems to enjoy what he does. Yeah. Now, I'm not going to go through the entire comic. I do want people to go on to Indie Planet and purchase it, but I hope this scroll of the first book and the and this is a 44-page story, I think I saw.
It's a 40. There's a 26-page and then an 8-page story in the back. It's 40 pages.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm seeing through. That's, I guess, cover and stuff through the up here. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I mean, it's like I said, it was a fun read. It was an enjoyable comic. I really, I liked the concept behind it. I like the artwork. I like the feeling it gave me. Like, I was reading an older comic. I don't really read a lot of the comics today. Some of them I pick up and check out every now and then, see what's going on with a character that I enjoy. But I'm not really into them. Unfortunately, I don't collect, and I buy now a lot of the older trades that I grew up that I enjoyed, and this is what that reminds me of. It reminds me of reading a comic that came from the late 70s or 80s or something like that, and that's like the era outside of like really Silver Age stuff. That's the era I grew up reading. That was what brought me into comics, and so if it's like going back to being a kid, going home again, sitting on my bed, reading this. And unfortunately, I don't have a printed copy, so laying on my bed with my iPad in front of me and and scrolling to flipping the pages. But man, I would love an actual copy of this one day. This is just one of those I would love to have a printed copy just to look through and study and keep in my collection. So
I appreciate that. Yeah, but you're right. I mean, I think we're of the same kind of generation, and that was my intention. I wanted a kind of I hate to use nostalgia because I'm trying to do a new kind of story with it, but at the same time, it's more inspirational. I wanted the kind of comics that I read in the 80s and the 90s, or early 90s, I should say, and I wanted that spirit in the book. The things that made me pick up comics, and I wanted a comic I could read, and that was my intention, because I wanted to satisfy me first, and then if everybody else liked it, it was a bonus and very much appreciated and humbling. But it definitely, Man in the Mask is basically a love letter to the comics I grew up with, and all the people that inspired me.
That's great, and I think you did it right in the sense where you wrote for yourself. What do you want to see? I don't remember who said it. I think it was an animator that I was reading about, but they basically said you write for yourself first. I mean, if you're writing for someone or a target audience and it's not, you may not be comfortable. What are these kids like? What are these adults like? You're not. It kind of messes with your head. So if you say, what do I like, and what do I want to see? you're going to find an audience no matter what, because there's going to be like-minded people out there. Just like you were saying, you and I come from a very similar, we're around the same age, so we grew up on the same stuff. And when I saw this, it was, it was something that interested me because it reminded me of what I liked, So this is just great. I love looking at this, but I'm gonna put it away for now because, we got other stuff to chat about. So let's do that. So you also, in addition to being a creator, you mentioned earlier you're a letterer. I said in the intro you're a letterer and production designer, but you do that for another company, correct?
Yeah, Roland Mann's company, Silverline. I've known Roland for a while, and I letter a few of his comics, and I'll do some ads. It's great to be a part of it. He's trying so hard to make a really good source of entertainment, and it's good stuff. And that Malibu connection. He has a lot of great creators that are just putting out some great stuff, and I'm lucky to be lettering it. And like I said, he tries to kickstart stuff, and he's got one right now that's going great. And,
that's great. What's the Kickstarter, if you don't mind me asking? Oops.
It's Friar Rush #2 and Twilight Grim #2.
Okay.
I lettered Twilight Grim #2, but he's got both of them in a Kickstarter right now. And
I'm just looking them up.
Head to Kickstarter. They're great books, and they're done. I'm the letterer, I know. So that's a lot of things with some Kickstarters. They're not done when they Kickstart, but these ones are.
Yeah. So I didn't go to Kickstarter yet, but I'm on their website, and we could take a look at that. And because I'll be honest, I'm not familiar with Silverline Comics. I haven't had a chance since I chatted with you to come on here to look them up, but I'm looking at their website, and the artwork looks beautiful. Yeah, I'm going to just share the screen real quick to show people.
Like I said, Roland was an editor at Malibu. He was part of the Ultraverse. A lot of great creators that were part of that are now a part of Silverline. You got Dean Zachary, you got Mark Kalberg, you got Rob Davis, R.A. Jones. Twilight Grim #2 is written by R.A. Jones and Rob Davis's art. I mean, and that's a great product.
And this stuff.
And like I said, Roland's got so many great other titles that are in the development stage. Great artists, of the past, and they're just as relevant as they were before. And he's got great new creators, which even more so.
Friar Rush. Why did Cat and Mouse come up? I thought I clicked on something else. Clicked on something that's called Friar Rush, so it came up down. It's a little small, but they got some really interesting titles. I'm definitely going to be checking these out here. And what's funny is you mentioned Malibu. I was recently looking up some Malibu comics on eBay because I wanted to read them. I missed a few. It was just one of those things. Let's see. Silverstorm sounds interesting. Interesting character looking. Yeah, I'm gonna let's go to when you said Twilight Grim. I'm gonna check this out more in detail. But there's no imagery here. Of Twilight Grim at the moment, but the logo. All right, I'll definitely be checking these out. I know what I'm doing after this interview ends. I'm leaving this website up here. And that's great. But let's chat for a moment. You're going to be the artist on a new book coming out called The Bat, and
the Black Bat.
The Black Bat. I'm sorry. It's funny. I was reading a Facebook post today, and somebody asked about a character, and somebody named them the Bat. That's why. But the Black Bat. So the Black Bat, for those who don't know, is a pulp character who is currently in public domain. And he's public domain, and he's been around. He's been around for I don't even know. What do you come out in the 30s? I think
37 or 38.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, I'm a big fan of public domain characters. I love, and if you guys want, not right now, but after this interview's over, go and check out my interview with Jay Piscopo, who was on my Saturday storytelling a couple of weeks ago. That guy, you want to talk public domain, that guy knows his stuff, and he uses them, and he creates public domain comics constantly. Characters based on public domain. And I think they're great because some of them already have a built-in fan base, and anyone could use them, and you could just have them appear in your stories. And I love the pulp characters. I grew up, actually, my father, who, he grew up in the time, like he was old enough to see television be brought in, and so he listened to stuff on the radio, and so he was listening to things like The Shadow, The Lone Ranger, and when audio tapes came out of them, I remember buying them for him for his birthday one year, and I sat and I spent the whole time listening to them, and I loved them, and loved listening to The Shadow and all those other type. And I would look when sometimes I'll go on the internet and just look up old radio shows and listen to them, and they're of these pulp characters or pulp type characters. So you already got a built-in fan for this book. And can you tell us a little bit? I don't want you to give away the story or anything, but tell us a little bit about the book and how you came to be part of it.
You're talking about being introduced to pulp characters. It's the story has to start in the late '80s, and what attracted me to the pulp characters, because as much as I was a very big reader, I really didn't know much about much of the serialized characters of the late 30s, early 40s. And he's watching. He's the guy I said hi to earlier, Ron Fortier.
Yeah.
Ron actually brought the Green Hornet back to prominence in the late 80s.
Oh.
And I picked up the Green Hornet book that he wrote, and I'll be quite honest with you, Man in the Mask is very much in the lines of the stuff that he was doing, and is heavily inspired by Ron. And since, it's one of those things where I've never said much good about social media, but getting to know Ron through social media has certainly been the one plus. But it was through Green Hornet that I really discovered The Shadow and Doc Savage and the Spider, and really those type of characters really just kind of attracted me.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've gotten to know Ron very well. Like I said, I've actually done drawn two short stories for him.
Oh,
and he had just finished another Black Bat story that had just come out. And, on one of our conversations, I kind of was hitting around. It's like, well, you feel like doing another Black Bat story? Because he came out during that same period of time in the late 30s, but I think he gets lumped into those characters, but he's a little bit different. And again, he's not shepherded by some big corporation. He's in public domain, and anybody can do anything with. And I definitely put the bug in Ron's ear, and he went with it. And absolutely, like I said, I'm not going to say much about the script, but I read it over the weekend, and I'm very blessed to have been given something like that, and so it's my definite hope to give not only a good product for Ron, but a good product to Black Bat fans, because he's done a great job with it. I think if anybody enjoys the Black Bat, they'll enjoy the story. So it's an interesting way of getting there. So,
can I just say, are you hearing a beep, or is that just me? You weren't hearing a beep.
I'm not hearing a beep.
Okay. No, I might have a window open. I thought I closed out of, and I think it's one of my alerts. But if it's not coming on the air, I'll deal with it in my ear, because I got like 4 alerts right away, and I'm like, okay, I'll ignore it then. So yeah, no, that's awesome. And it's funny you mentioned the Spider. That's actually one of my pulp characters I'd love to draw a story for one day, and always thought about how to write, a Spider story. I'm not. Yeah. I can write I'm working on sci-fi stuff right now, and like cartoony, sci-fi stuff. But after that, I'm thinking going a little darker, and that's maybe when I'll start playing with the pulp stuff. But yeah, no. But I wanna. I don't feel I write good for pulp. I'm better, more cartoony, humorous guy, and
yeah, same here.
Yeah. So yeah, no, we got that. Let me just ask you quickly about the Green Hornet stuff you're talking that Ron wrote, because you said it was in the 80s, correct?
Yeah, it was 89. The first issue came out. I'm pretty sure 89. I'm pretty sure about that.
And Ron, if you could help me out, if you know the answer, or if you don't know, Ron can type it in the comments if he's still watching. Who was the artist and the publisher on that? Because I read some Green Hornets. I'm just curious. I unfortunately I'm very bad with names. I'm great with art. So if I saw the cover, I'd be like, yeah, I read that. So I'm just curious if I can look up who else worked on it to know if it was a Green Hornet I read. I'm just curious.
Do you want to know? You want me to tell you?
If you know the answer, tell me. I'll look it up.
Oh yeah. Oh, Jeff Butler. Jeff Butler was the artist, and it was Now Comics.
Okay. That sounds familiar. Very familiar to me.
All right. The first issue had a Steranko cover on it. And actually, there was quite a number of great artists that did covers during that run.
This whole interview, you're mentioning all this stuff, and it's one of those things where it's like I kind of just want to go look stuff up right now, but I'm not going to cut out. I'm not. I don't want to. I wouldn't do that to you, number one, but I wouldn't want to do it to anybody. This is. I'm really enjoying just chatting with you about this. Now, getting. Well, let me ask you with the Black Bat. Are you keeping the original kind of costume design? Have you done any updates for him, or you going classic?
I'm going classic with my own little take. I'm not going to go too far off of it because a lot of the magazines that they sold, the costume that he was wearing on the covers weren't actually the costume he wore in the book. I'm going more because the covers, the artist, I guess, felt like he needed to express the emotion, so he gave him a half mask. But in the comic or in the prose, is actually it's a full hood. So I'm going with that. I'm going with the full hood, and I'm going to try to animate as much as I can with the eyes, and the body language. So I don't want to veer off from the description. I'm going to, like I said, put my own little nod to it, but I'm sticking with the classic.
Okay, no, that's great. And Ron put a comment and actually was going to be one of my questions. How many pages is the Black Bat going to be?
104. It's a 104-page graphic novel.
Wow. And you're doing all the work. You pencil, ink. You're going to do the coloring, all that, or?
No, my son is actually pretty much my exclusive colorist. And he's been
great.
He basically started this journey. The Man in the Mask thing's always been the back burner to my career. And when he was 12, he would come across some of the stuff I was drawing, and he would say, "Well, why don't we do this? I'll help you if you'll do it. I'll help you." And it just so I would teach him Photoshop, and so he's walked every step with me, and so he's coloring the Black Bat. He's going to do some new things. We're going to try and make it look a little bit different than Man in the Mask. He's got some things he's been wanting to try, but Dad won't let him do on Man in the Mask. So I'm going to let him do on Black Bat. And he's also going to letter it. So that'll help me get the pages done. So he's going to be a little more hands-on with me, but he wanted it. So like I said, this journey's been with him. He's the guy behind the table with me at cons, and like I said, I couldn't do it without, and I probably wouldn't do it without him. So that's great.
That's great, especially that your son had the same interest and was excited for what you're doing. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So you have a little family business there now. And if you don't mind me asking, how old is your son now?
He's 20 now.
Oh, he's 20. So this is 8 years working together. That's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said,
That's a,
all the books you see are printed by me. All the little stories I've done for some other body, it's he's been
it's him
colored.
as.
So
That's great.
yeah.
That's great. And what were the other two stories? I don't think you mentioned, or might have forgotten what you said. What were the other stories you drew for Ron?
We did a story called we created a character together, kind of a homage to mass pulp characters. We called him Night Shift, and
Okay.
it's in a collection that Ron put out. And then we did an Invisible Hood story, public domain 8-pager. That was, I think it was in a couple of indie books. I just got one, so I was thinking Ron told me it went to a couple of different ones.
If you
Some
have,
anthologies.
if they're still available and you know where to get them, I'd love to tell the audience to go check them out. Are they on Indie Planet or anywhere?
The Night Shift stories on Indie Planet. It's All Star Pulp Comics by
Okay.
Red Bud Studios. I'm not. Off the top of my head, I'm trying to think where the Invisible Hood story was published. I think it was done by Will Lil Comics. I think you can search them on Indie Planet. Will Lil.
Right. Okay, I'll check them out. I actually go on Indie Planet quite often. Unfortunately, it's difficult to purchase, from there just with shipping and everything sometimes. So I do a lot of the digital comics through them. So I tend to go that route with them on Indie Planet. So yeah, I'm going to check these out definitely. I'd love to get copies of it. I love looking at all that type of stuff. And like I said, I'm a fan of your art. So if I could check out more, because all I know is what I see you post on social media and the Man in the Mask. So it'd be great to see some other stuff that you've done. Do you have any?
Yeah, probably Black Bat will be the last thing I do for a while for somebody else. Okay. I really, Man in the Mask is pretty much where my heart's at, and trying to find as much time as I can to do it's my preference.
Yeah, no, I get that. Are you a now? I'm looking at the work. Do you do everything digital? You have any actual pages or anything going on, like with your books? Or?
I do a hybrid method. I do all pencils, and then I scan, and then I'll ink in Clip Studio. But okay. I do everything. I do everything analog to begin with.
Okay.
It reminds me of sitting back in my room just drawing comics, so I can never give that up. I've tried penciling on Clip Studio, but I just don't like the feel of it. I like the
interesting.
So it's kind of a hybrid method.
Yeah. No, because I'm asking because I do use Clip Studio too. I use Photoshop a lot, but I always kind of draw on loose paper, and then I airdrop it over to my computer and kind of just patch it all up in one of the programs. But Clip Studio is one of the programs I actually enjoyed penciling it. I think it has a nice pencil to it. It's I forget which one it is, if I'm using like the real pencil or whatever, but there's a pencil that in there that I just love the just the feel of it. But each their own. I love I prefer, like I said though, like you, I prefer paper, which I don't have any around me I can show. But I have always my studio I just recently cleaned up, but I always have tons of piles of paper all over the place that are just need this for this comic, and snap or scan and set it up. What was my next question? Oh, so you were saying after the Black Bat, you're going to kind of focus on your own things. Is it going to be more Man in the Mask, or you got other ideas you want to bring to life?
Well, where I don't do comics full time, Man in the Mask is where pretty much I would prefer my energy at, because I do have a long-term plan for it. And, drawing comics is in between the cracks of my graphic design business. I'm lucky enough to have a business I can work from home, so I can kind of schedule doing comics. Yeah. But I still don't have that much time. So,
No.
But no, they're just some things you don't pass up, and the opportunity to do something like the Black Bat is pretty much up my way of creation. So,
Yeah.
but Man the Mask is
No.
pretty much where, yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, I think you're doing some really great stuff. I look forward to. Are you going to be allowed to post your Black Bat stuff before it's published, like anytime soon, like designs to get people excited, or you're going to have to wait a while? Okay. Well, no, I don't
It's
know. I
going to
mean,
be a
sometimes.
while to get going,
Yeah.
but as far as we're already seeding a little bit. Both me and Ron we like to show what we're doing, so it'll be a
Yeah.
progress. That's one of the better things about social media is we can do previews here and there, and we're not going to keep it completely close to the vest, but there's going to be production art that will definitely be show as we go.
That's great. That's great. I love doing that. I started doing that with my stuff recently. So for something I'm going to have come out in the fall. So I'm looking forward to to seeing what you're doing, because I love like I said, love those type of characters. Sorry, I just blanked for a second on my next question, but no, because there's so many things. Like I could say, let's forget talking about your stuff. Let's just talk about some of the comics you enjoyed as a kid, and and I'm sure we have a lot of that in common. But we can even save that. Yeah, we can save that for another night, though, because I'm sure. Number one, I'd love to have you back already, but I really want to focus on the stuff that you're doing, and just to talk a little bit about it. I know I mentioned how you post stuff on social media that I see on Facebook, and you mentioned the Blue Beetle, because it was a piece I brought up, which I loved. You tend, I just so you tend to do these, you said, as like your warm up. Is this like a daily thing? You try to knock one off a day or something? Or,
it's one of those things where I just I warm up in the mornings trying to get going, and I'll try to think of a character to do, and then I'll finish it out in the afternoon after work, and it keeps me going as far as showing work. That's the kind of, it's an exercise, because I can get very insular sometimes. I can get kind of inside my own head. And I found in trying to build an audience for Man the Mask, I think that it's like you're saying, you see characters that you like, and then maybe you see an artist that does those kind of characters. Maybe you get interested in what else they do. And so the warm-ups are, I get to draw characters that I love with no, attachments, or no, I'm not doing it for money. I'm not selling them as prints. I'm just, I love this character, so I'm going to draw him today. And if people enjoy it, and people, they like it or love it or make a comment about it, it keeps me honest. It keeps me working. It keeps me drawing comics. It keeps me, so it's an exercise. It's an exercise of fun, because then I get to because it's like you just said, we can sit here and talk comics all night long, and that's what I love about posting those pieces of art, is that some of the comments will turn out, I find a lot of like-minded people, that are my generation, that like the kind of characters that I do. And that's what's great about comics. There's a kinship. We all have something that we love about comics, and we share it. And, if I can draw a character that makes you as nostalgic and as happy as it made me drawing it, that's something we share. That's something that we have in common. And so, drawing a Blue Beetle or a Question or a Superman, or, the Captain, I got a Captain Atom that I'm kind of, doodling right now. If that really just, comics, you don't make any money at. So you make prints. That's the way I look at it. Seriously, I cherish the contact I find it on Facebook with like-minded individuals that and if I can make them smile, hey, there are worse things to do in a day. So they can like something that I do.
Let me ask you: is this stuff just up on your Twitter page or something that I can just share real quick so I can show people what I'm talking about? Or
Oh yeah. Twitter and like I said, it's probably the best way to find it. Certainly better quality than what Facebook puts out.
Twitter.com/MikeW1. Okay, let's share the screen. Excuse me, sorry. Before I do that, I want to say Ron says Mike is a storyteller at heart, and we've had great discussions about how to do that in comics. That's fantastic. I'm getting you guys at home. I'm getting used to a brand new computer and the mouse, and so I never can find where my mouse is right now on my screen. And I have to agree. Actually, if you guys watch my Storytelling Saturday show, that's what it's all about. How to usually more for comics than anything, but it's all about the storytelling and how to bring it in. So here's the question. Here's a piece.
Yeah, that was actually a paid commission. Yeah.
Really nice. I like it.
Yeah, I get commission requests, and if I've got time to do them, I'm more than glad to do it, especially if it's a great idea like that.
Yeah, that was fantastic. And is that something your son colors, or?
Yeah, actually, he colored that one for me. Yeah.
Now this isn't yours, right?
No, that's a friend of mine. Yeah.
Okay.
He's a great artist too, but.
Well, we'll talk about him another time. This was the Blue Beetle. Like, this to me is Blue Beetle, and that's how I like to see him. Just love it.
Yeah,
good.
I love the character.
Yeah, me too. And this was the question by himself.
Right, that was the warm up. That was a warm up one morning.
Yeah. And here's some Black Bat, and this is some designs.
Yeah, when I printed out the script, I just started scribbling on the front page.
Nice. And that's your version right there. Very nice. Yeah. I like that. Very nice stuff. Here's a Man in the Mask. I just love his look. This I saw it. Whoops, the other one. I mean, it's a two-parter, but this one here I just really enjoyed. I'm a big Will Eisner fan.
Yeah. Eisner runs deep here.
Yeah, that's great. I love how you did it up on the wall there. Some sketches for it. That's your friend's stuff again. Oh, this is another one you did.
Yeah. So sometimes my warm-ups are they get away from me. Really, the warm-up could probably be one character, but I was in a crime syndicate mood one morning, so I don't know what that tells me about it.
No, it's great. I love it. I even love the smile you have on Owlman here.
Yeah. Well, you can be evil and smile.
Oh yeah, that makes it creepier.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh wow. There's some of the, and this is you actually working on, pre-ruled board, huh?
Oh yeah. Like I said, I draw very much on board, and
yeah,
it's for myself, and I could never sell it because I draw on the other side of it. I utilize both sides of the board, so it's one of those things where I just love paper. I love pencil and paper.
This right here, one of my all-time favorites you've done that I've seen. I'm a big, and it's Captain Marvel. I hope, and that's what you wrote there. It's Captain Marvel. It's not Shazam. Shazam's sitting down.
Exactly.
And I love it. Yeah. And I love it. I just love this old school. Oh, so good. I mean, like I said, I can sit. Oh, this is yours too, right?
Yep, that's mine.
Yeah. But I can kind of see the All Red influence, definitely, not just because it's his work, but I'm a huge All Red fan. I just bought a book too. I don't know what it is. If I have it around here, I think it's on my drawing table over there. But Allred just recently did something, and I just buy if his name's on it. He's one of those people I just kind of buy, and
Me too. Yeah,
I love
absolutely.
it. I love it.
I love what Aiden did with the coloring. I didn't have that swirly thing in the background. That was something he came up with, and it was like perfect. You know, it's like
it fits Allred.
So, yeah.
Hold on, I want to see if I got the book right next to me. Let me just see real quick. No. Yeah, right here. I don't know how old this is. I just saw it in the shop the other day. Is there a date on this? It's from March. Okay, March 2020. So it was last year. Okay. But I never saw it, and it was sitting on the shelf. I don't know if you know that one.
Yeah, that just came out right before the pandemic. X-Ray Road.
Yeah, I don't know why it was still on the shelf as a new on the new comic area, but man, I had so much fun reading this and just looking, looking through it. I got to see, I just picked up the first issue because I'm like, oh, I don't know anything about it, so I'm gonna want to check out, see if I can get the rest or see if a trade or something's out on it by now, since it, it's over a year old now.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's a great one too. But these prints, I don't want to call them prints, but these warm-ups that you do, I just love looking at them. They're super super inspiring and make you. Is this one of yours too here?
Yeah, the All-Star, that's the one I was talking about with the night shift.
Okay.
That's the cover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because that's my cover. Ron asked me to do the cover.
That's nice. I like it. Like it a lot. Yeah, but like I was saying, they're just very inspiring. They make you want to, just read, go read comics, and like,
yeah.
But like that's what I'm saying. Your style is fun. Your style is nostalgic, and when I look at your work, it angers me because I want to stop doing the work that I'm doing and just go pick up comics, and I mean that in the nicest way possible. Yeah, it's like I just want to go and read some old comics, Golden Age, Silver Age, bronze, whatever you want to call it, like just when comics were fun to me,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean comics are just so into themselves right now. It's just sometimes you just want to do a fun story. I don't want to do Watchmen. I don't want to do Dark Knight Returns. I just want to do a nice, fun story. And and if I can get that across, I've done what I wanted to do with it. If it, it's like I said, if you enjoy it and it is a good point of your day, that's all I could ask for.
Yeah, I love this, just the composition right here.
Yeah,
I just want to go to
actually another creator's book. I did some covers for his Kickstarter. His name's Scott Wilson, and that's a book called The Flock, and he's kickstarting that right now. So I'm a variant cover. I'm a reward. So, but he's a great guy, and those are great stories.
That's great. I love it. I just want to go to the comments. Jeremy King says, "Hi, Mike." So,
hey, man.
Yeah, I was assuming he meant you.
Yeah, he's the number one man, the Mask fan. He has everything I put out, and in addition to being a friend, I should throw that out there too. But he holds the honorary title of first man, the Mask fan. So
that's great.
Outside my family, I should say that.
And this is just fun too. I love it. So, is this not my? I'm not signed in on Twitter. I'm gonna have to go back and follow you. Thank you for sharing here. Oh, wait a second. Am I logged in? No, I'm not logged in as me. Oh well. I was gonna I don't know if I'm following you. I can't remember.
I thought you were, maybe.
I might have when I found out when you did this and I saw that I was tagged. I probably went back and followed you because I didn't know. And this is the Kickstarter here. Is there a link to the Kickstarter on this, or?
There might be. There might be inside the text someplace. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the second cover. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the artist who did that is named Peter Clinton, and he's a UK artist, and he's going to be big. he's great. I've really become a fan of his. Like I said, that's a variant cover. He didn't do the art inside of it, but he's got a project rolling, and it's going to be something to look forward to.
That's great. The project, the Black Bat, is that going to be ever Kickstarter, or is that going to be through a publisher? How are you guys doing that?
We're going to put it out. We're going in some manner, but it's not going to be Kickstarter now. No, but it's going to be put out.
Well, I will say this: whether it's a Kickstarter or not, I'm inviting right now you and Ron to come on to the show, and we're going to discuss not just the comic, but we'll discuss whatever you guys want. Pulp comics, we can do a whole thing just talking about the pulp comics that we love or whatever, and how this comic came to be. So, Ron, if you're still watching, we're going to book a date one day. I'm just letting you know that.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying chatting with you. I'm sure I'll enjoy chatting with Ron. But these are the things. This is what Get In Toon's about: promoting work that people won't know about, and work that I like. And even if I don't like it, I don't mind promoting it. I just want people to see what's out there and have options and know that it's just not what's on the shelves in the store or what's in the Diamond catalog. There's so many great things out there, so many awesome creators out there, and I want to bring them on. I want people to know about them, learn about them, and people like you. Ron says sounds like a plan. So we'll definitely all be in contact one day. But being at 100 and something pages, I'm sure it'll be probably next March. We'll be talking next March or so. So we'll have a year anniversary. We'll remember this date and bring you on. But yeah, no, like I was saying, that's why I do this. That's why I do Get In Toon. And I'm gonna wrap up in a few minutes, but I have to say, just not just thank you for coming on, but thank you for creating, for being a creator, for giving us something that people want, but we're not getting in places. And it's just fantastic that there are people out there like you doing this. And hopefully even if it's one person, I hope they buy your book. If one person from tonight, I'm like, that's just a success, because I showed somebody else something that's out there that they'll enjoy.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me and talking comics. Even if we didn't talk my comics, talking comics is just it's the highlight of the day.
You know what?
I love it.
I'm not gonna lie. I might just do a day where I just bring you and maybe a few friends on, and we just talk comics. We just talk about stuff that we loved, and I can sit and pull stuff out and be like, this is something that's like the reason I'm drawing comics right now. I mean, if I turn, you could probably see on my back table there, I got some Marvel Masterworks and DC Archives and a few other things, some the New Frontier, New Gods, Plastic Man. I got tons of things, and I pull, I keep those out because I pull them a lot to reference, just to read real quick, or the books I got a Scrooge McDuck book, all that type of stuff. I love all those things, and I like to keep them handy, just to look through and reminisce. But and I'm not gonna lie, I have down on my bookshelf on the other side of the room a bunch of the DC like showcases, the black and white, and when I saw some of your work, I went and pulled a couple out and just started flipping through. So thank you for bringing me back to my childhood. Thank you for doing what you're doing, man. It's so fantastic. And
I'm
sorry.
glad you like it.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you like it. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, no, it's great. And I'll be honest, I don't remember when I got the Man in the Mask comic, but it's been a while since I've read it. I think this weekend is going to get another read from me. So yeah, it's going to be another nighttime read, I think. So thanks again for that. But before I wrap up, is there anything you'd like to say, or I don't mind staying on longer. Is there anything you want to talk about that we haven't talked about?
No, I think we've covered it. I mean, I think that, indie comics are some of the most imaginative things going on right now. And again, the fellowship and just the absolute, drive that people that have day jobs, that they go home and do this, just shows you the love. And it's such that's one of the best things about following indie comics there is just the
Yeah.
idea that, that there's just so much there. There's so much to pick from. I mean, there really anybody's taste or anything that someone, and I'm honored to be among them. I love. I'm as much of a fan of them as doing them. I mean, I just love comics.
That's great. Can you hang out backstage for a few minutes? Or
Sure.
all right, cool. I just want to talk a few things off air. But again, thank you for coming on. you guys, everyone, thank you for joining. I had a great time. I'm going to put you backstage. I just want to do my little closing, and we'll talk in a moment. All right.
Okay,
thanks again. All right, guys. So I really did have a lot of fun, and I know that Mike's going to be back. We're just going to have to do a thing where we just sit and talk comics, and I think I'm going to have a great time with that. It's so much fun chatting with him. His work, I'm a big fan of. Like you said, I'm sitting here kind of, may have sounded like I was fanboying out, but totally cool with that. I have no problem. I'll fanboy out over anybody who does great work. And so this Saturday, I want to say for my storytelling Saturday, I'm going to redo what I did last week, because if you guys, I mentioned earlier, I have a brand new computer. My computer stopped working last week and messed up my stream, which I was supposed to be on, tips on making comics using Photoshop. I'm going to do that again on this Saturday. This way we can actually get it to work. And also next Tuesday on Get in Tune, I'm going to have Sam Vera from Catch the Craze, but we're going to talk about his Kickstarter that's going on right now. Or is it Indiegogo? I'm sorry, I forget. His book Forbidden that he's pushing. I already donated to that. It's a fantastic looking book, and we may have a couple of other people pop on who worked on the book with him. So tune in next Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. But don't forget this Saturday, Storytelling Saturday, tips in Photoshop for making comics. All right. Thanks for joining. Thanks again to Mike. Check out his social media down there at Mike W. Belcher 1 on Twitter and AMK Comics on Facebook. Thanks again, you guys. You have a great night. I will see you later.